This upcoming week, we have two very exciting things happening. We have Mars entering Aries, and we have Mercury leaving post shadow of its retrograde cycle. So, this week is really about a lot of implementation of things we have been reflecting on, things we have been reevaluating, wanting to move forward with, and the energy hasn't really been there to do so because we've been very internally focused on, okay, well, how do I want to change this? How do I want to refine this so that we can move forward, right? And this is the week where we really, I feel, are pushed to move forward. There still might be some things that don't feel super clear yet because Mars is going to move over Neptune once it enters Aries, and we haven't experienced that transit yet in Aries. So it could be pretty interesting. But there's a lot of other things that will be going on this week that are supporting us to really move forward and really to get a lot of breakthroughs and clarity around things that we haven't gotten breakthroughs or clarity around just yet. It's kind of like we all of March have been taking the steps, right, on the stones as they present themselves. And April, it's like, oh shoot, here all of it is all at once. Um, and there's still a little bit of some things aren't clear. There's still a little bit of, okay, how do I go about this or how do I go about that? But the more that we remain present with what is coming up in the moment, the better all of it is going to go and all of it is going to be for us moving forward. And that's really, if you saw my recent YouTube video I posted a few days ago here, that's really the energy that we're all integrating and implementing right now is how to really trust our flow and trust our intuition more and more over the reliance that we've had as a collective that we've been conditioned to have on our minds and on the practical and the logical and the plan. Like we can't really plan any more moving forward, and we really have to live presently more so than ever. So that is one of the major themes of this week, especially, and just really the rest of 2026 is integrating this big lesson of trusting our intuition that has been a theme since January of 2025. But there were things in January we had, or things in 2025 rather, and in January, honestly, January of this year was pretty intense karmic cleanup before we had the Lunar New Year. But especially all of 2025 was about really big cleanups, and kind of this, oh, reaching for something or, oh, I want to go here, like I'm getting clarity, this is what I'm going to do, but also it's not the time yet. And I have to kind of go within and reevaluate all this other inner stuff before I can fully move forward, with what I know now that I want to do and move forward with. So, that's the energy. Um, this week, and as we get more into April, there's going to be some massive, massive changes and massive change within our energy levels as Mars moves into Aries and continues to do so. We also have the sun starting to get very close to Chiron this week, which happens every year around this time, and has for the past 6, 7 years since Chiron has been in Aries. But this week is really kind of a final, and mostly next week. We'll feel it the most early next week, and I'll get to that in the next week's preview at the end of the video. Is this illumination of identity wounds we still have to heal and integrate. And as we get more into the year and Chiron moves into Taurus, those wounds become a focus of embodying them into our values, into our self-worth. Very interesting that just everything is lining up the way that it has. And there's really no other time in history that is like this time that we're all in right now. I've seen a lot of videos, and I was talking about this in my membership when I held the class on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction and Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries. We haven't had that conjunction in the same degrees of Aries since no one even knows. Maybe it's been like 10,000 years. Um, but all this happening all at the same time has probably never happened in history ever before, at least not that we know of, not written history. So it's a really unique time to be living the lives that we are living, and we all are here for a very divine reason to step into this new paradigm that is evolving and is emerging and that we're in the transition of right now. So, it's all leading us there. Week to week, I kind of feel like there's just again the weekly messages have really been like, okay, we're going like step by step. We're going, oh, we're kind of reevaluating. Oh, but we're still going. And that's kind of the major energy, right? Change doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly through these incremental changes over time that we make on a daily basis that eventually create a new reality for ourselves. And I've been reflecting a lot on this lately, just meeting new people here in this new town that I moved to and kind of rehashing my story and rehashing to people who don't know me or know my history, like what I've been through in my life. And it's honestly really insane, like me rehashing my whole story because this reality of me having a successful business teaching astrology and human design and having a large following has become normal to me. And I'm very quickly realizing and talking about it so much to people who haven't ever met me that it's not normal. And that my story is pretty unique and pretty extraordinary from um, most other people's. And so that's kind of the energy is we're realizing how far we've come and choosing to have a little bit of pride in that. And also courage, that giving us courage to move into the new direction that we're headed with everything, and courage and bravery. We really need to have that right now as everything is in Aries and moving more into Aries. Mercury's going to move into Aries next week, so that will be a theme of next week. But all Aries energy is new beginnings, it's new chapters, it's fresh start energy. It's what are you doing and stepping into that requires bravery, that requires courage. Um, I have my Mars in Aries, and I sometimes like forget that that is what kind of creates that in me of this drive and this ambition and this ability to just kind of take risks and do shit. And like be damn the consequences. Like I'll adjust. My Sag moon comes in, it's like we're adaptable. We can adjust. Like, yeah, go fly to France on a whim and live there for 3 to 4 months. Like, yeah, let's do it. We can do it. It's fine. Like, whatever. We don't have a backup plan, but we're gonna make it work. And it's very much the energy right now of choose to embody that version of you that has been brave and courageous and bring it into what you're currently stepping into that requires it instead of giving more weight to the mind, the fear, the scarcity, the kind of big collective themes right now that are available for us to tap into when we forget ourselves and we forget our power and our magic to create what we want. It's easy to tune into or plug into rather the collective that is worried and anxious and fearful and oh la 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 la. But that's not going to help anyone to stay in that energy or to even view life like that. So, what can you do to shift the way that you're viewing life and to step into this new thing with bravery and with courage and stay true to the path of it? Stay true to your authenticity and your truth, your heart and your soul's calling and knowing through the ups and downs, through the challenges, through everything, because it is what you're meant to be doing. You're on the right path. Stick to it. There's no looking back. There's no looking back anymore. So that is this week's energy. Is there anything else I want to say? Yeah, trust your rhythms, trust your flow. I feel like this has been coming up in weeks previously, week to week with everything in Pisces. Trust your flow, trust when you need rest, trust when you need to stop scrolling, get off the internet and go lay in the grass in nature or go outside and watch the birds or the squirrels or the deer. Like there's in this new spot I just moved to deer that are visiting me like every few days and sometimes I'll just stand outside and stare at them. It's so healing. That's really the energy right now. What helped you to ground? What feels supportive and nurturing for you to have to do to support your alignment during this time? Trust your flows and be easy on yourself, be supportive of yourself, be your own best cheerleader. Internalize support that you need, giving yourself that. It's been really helpful for me to talk to myself in you are statements. That's a little helpful tidbit that can maybe help you too. Instead of I am affirmations, no, you are. So much more powerful, so much more impactful, so much more of like instant relief when you talk to yourself in the what person is that? I don't remember, but like you are statements. Um, okay, I think that's all I want to say about this upcoming week before we get into uh the horoscopes. Hi, Aries Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your perspective. There could be some pretty big breakthroughs around just your reality, your belief systems, how you're viewing life that are supporting this new identity that you've stepped into, or it's more of an embodiment, a new sense of self, a new identity really clicking in. It also feels like this week, as it progresses, there's going to be this sense of renewal around how you take action, around how you initiate things in your life, how you move forward on things, as well as your energetic expression. There's a sense of kind of a fog really lifting the more we get into the week. Tuesday, you might have to have a hard conversation about something, or you could have maybe a dream or conversation about your subconscious with someone that kind of maybe triggers you emotionally to again relook at your or refine your perspective and just how you're viewing reality. It's really like as much as there are these challenges, and this is just continues to be a theme. As much as there are challenges that are coming up this week with things emotionally on Tuesday, there is also a lot of harmony that comes from that. There could also be something like early on Wednesday or maybe later on Tuesday, that is kind of more triggering around that too. Maybe a sense of kind of unhealed anger or things like that that come up. But again, it's like it clicks in and illuminates healing that you've been sitting with, and that's kind of like it's the positive that comes from the challenge. As we get into Wednesday, later on Wednesday, or early on Wednesday and into the rest of Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your career. There could be things you're wanting to restructure about your career. You're emotionally focused on systems and structures within your career, your public image and reputation. It could, depending on how much work you've done to change your career to match up with this new version of yourself, it could really trigger some things around that. Again, for you to evolve, for you to refine. Thursday, it feels like there's this kind of emotional tug of war between your career and what's going on with home or what's going on with your need to kind of support your inner world. It feels like there's kind of a push and pull energy between that, but also money's gonna be good on Thursday. Like whatever is coming up, it's kind of like maybe you took on too much work and it's like, great, you're getting more money, but it also kind of, you have to sacrifice your own needs a little bit to to do that, whatever that is. Friday, more emotional challenge between career and what's going on with you could on Friday really bring up some wounds around identity or image, self-worth, maybe even too, for you to really evolve. But at the same time, there's this sense of renewal with your energy as we end out the week, and the sense of maybe a lot of inspirational action or inspired ideas coming. You're like, it's kind of this instinctual knowing of like, I have to do this and I have to do this now as we end out the week kind of thing. Um, And Saturday, the emotional focus moves into your long-term goals, friendships, community. There's a sense of early on Saturday, big emotional transformation around that. You could get clarity around what's going on with friends or your long-term vision, or social media, however it applies. But there could be some sort of challenge later on Saturday with that and money or with that and self-worth, values, um, needing to really kind of be steadfast with where you're headed as opposed to like repeating cycles of the past. As we end out the week on Sunday, there is a sense of a great shift building. Probably won't feel it until Monday. Um, yeah, or really late on Sunday or really early on Monday, but there is this sense of a big shift that culminates at the end of the week. And maybe this very inspired idea that comes about of like, again, that's kind of been forming all week or all weekend, but it really kind of takes hold at the end of this week or beginning of next week of like, okay, here we go. Um, there might not be a sense of like full clarity, but things are happening and things are moving forward. It's hard to talk about because Mars is over Neptune, but that's the energy as we end out the week. It's a lot of forward momentum and a lot of like, okay, well, I'm glad I made all those changes, and refined the things I needed to because now it's really, really go time. So that's how we end out your week, Aries. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Taurus Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your shared resources, vulnerability, debt, taxes, investments, harmonizing with what's going on in your subconscious. So there could be a lot of things around past life stuff, the subconscious, really coming to light for you, really being illuminated at this time. And there's a lot of emotional harmony towards that illumination and towards doing something with it, maybe writing a book or you could be getting a lot of messages through dreams, and it kind of is healing you. Like you wake up feeling like different. It's hard to describe, but it's a lot of these kind of patterns within yourself that have maybe been hidden are coming to light, and you might even be bringing those into your work in some way, kind of these maybe spiritual gifts or intuitive abilities or healing abilities like coming online based around your what's going on with your own inner world. And there's a lot more of that on Tuesday, although Tuesday there could be some emotional tension between what's going on in your inner world and what's going on with friends or community, social media, or your long-term goals and visions. You could have a conversation with someone that doesn't super go well, but you do get clarity on more so what you want to do and how you want to go about what you're doing in this area of your life. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your perspective. So there's a lot of restructuring happening with, yeah, what is coming online for you as it relates to your intuition, your spiritual gifts, abilities, and your perspective of life. That really shaping and changing how you view the world around you. There could be a lot of things that come up that maybe aren't so comfortable to face on Wednesday, but again, it kind of creates this evolution of how you're viewing the world around you and how you're viewing life. Thursday, there's a lot of harmony between your perspective, what's changing about that, and what's like you getting more visibility. There's a lot of emotional support towards embodiment of this new sense of self, aligned more so with your values and your self-worth that you've been stepping into in this big identity level change that has been occurring for you. It feels like a lot of things more so solidify as we end out the week here and get closer and closer to the middle of April. Friday, there could be some wounds that come up again within your subconscious that maybe you didn't realize you were still dealing with at an emotional level. And again, it kind of creates this opportunity for you to evolve the way that you're viewing the world around you and viewing reality. But also there's like maybe some wounds that are triggered, but because of that, you embody something, I don't know, some new version of yourself like really clicks into place. I keep feeling that, and it progresses throughout the week as we get closer and closer to the weekend. Also on Friday, there's this sense of, I don't know, something about relationship stuff maybe too becoming a focus and like feeling more energized towards connections and relationships or working with clients or something like that. It's like you're kind of taking something from the hidden and making it known as we end out the week, especially Saturday. There's a big sense of emotional transformation Saturday in your within your career. Maybe you're launching something or really feeling more confident in sharing whatever you've been working on that you want to put out into the world. There's a lot of momentum with it over the weekend. And so there could be this sense of like, okay, here we go. I'm taking action on this. I'm really birthing it related to your image, your reputation, and your career. And as we end out the week on Sunday, there could be some more emotional challenges that happen with career that relates to your sense of self and your identity. Like whatever came up this past week, the first week of April, could come up again for you to further integrate it emotionally and maybe heal something related to like past wounds or triggers as yeah how do I say like revolving around your reputation, revolving around your career and things of that nature. It's kind of like the last hurrah of wounds and triggers related to that maybe are really presenting themselves in ways you didn't realize they were still there. Big theme for you this whole week, Taurus, but it feels like a lot of healing comes from it and a lot of forward movement comes as well in ways that you've been sensing and wanting to take action on or around for quite some time. So that is your week ahead, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. We start off your week with the emotional focus on your relationships, also communities, social gatherings, social media, long-term goals and visions. You could be getting a lot of clarity about relationships and friendships, and just feeling more social, maybe even too, at the start of the week, especially because there's just a lot of focus on those areas of your life. Tuesday, there could be something challenging that comes up emotionally with someone in your life that directly challenges what's going on with career. Maybe you have to have a hard conversation with someone at work or about work, or something just comes up around that kind of gives you more clarity on what you maybe want to evolve with career or kind of slightly refine as it relates to your reputation, your image, what you're doing in career, what you have been stepping towards there. It kind of illuminates something about your long-term goals and visions as much as it is like kind of challenging communication wise. It's helpful to getting more clarity and answers on where you're headed and where you're going long term and with this new direction you've been stepping in for over a year. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your shared resources, vulnerability, taxes, inheritance, investments, debt. There's an emotional focus on that and kind of a focus on cleanup with that area of your life because it directly kind of challenges what's going on with your vision, your long-term goals, maybe community or social media. So there's some challenges between those two areas so that you evolve something and that you clean it up a little bit more. Maybe structure money differently, structure debt differently, start to pay off stuff, be more intentional with spending or saving. There's a lot of focus on that the middle of the week, especially on Thursday. It could feel like there's an emotional pull between shared resources and taking care of maybe like where you've overextended yourself with resources maybe and what's going on with your physical money. There could be this sense of like, oh, I kind of overindulged a little bit and I need to reel it back in on Thursday. And so it's kind of like, what do you need to bring those areas of your life into a greater balance um, on Thursday. There's also Thursday and into Friday a big focus on taking action on something that maybe has been building for quite some time. Again, related to career, long-term goals, visions, big focus on all of that this week. And Friday, especially, there's maybe this something that gets triggered about that emotionally, maybe related to money goals or debt or anything like that. And kind of gives you more clarity on what you want to change about your inner world to line up with the outward changes you're making to your external world and kind of everything else that's going on and how it all kind of comes down to what you're embodying energetically, your own sense of alignment. Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto your perspective. There's this big shift of a transformation emotionally within how you view the world around you, your belief systems, your perspective of life, your philosophy of life, and how you're viewing things. That could also directly challenge something about, this maybe comes up later on Saturday, something about your self-worth at a subconscious level, like what you really believe deep down, things you don't even, I don't know, have much conscious awareness of, and how they're affecting and playing into these changes that you're making and the way that you view the world around you in general. There's big foundational level shifts occurring for you this week, Gemini, especially on Sunday. Later on Sunday, there could be a big breakthrough around that. That kind of gives you more clarity on what you want to do or what you want to move forward with, and kind of there might be through that. It's almost the energy of a breakdown, and then a breakthrough comes from the breakdown. And as I'm saying this, there's a hummingbird at my window, so maybe that is significant for you in some way. It's really freaking cute. Um, so yeah, that's how we end out your week, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your work, your day-to-day routine, schedule, health, physical health. There could be something you're realizing you want to take action on as it relates to that area of your life related to what you're doing with career or what's changing about career, or maybe what new boundaries you have put in place with career, your reputation, your image. And also, there could be something about that that's really challenging you to view life differently and have a different perspective over all this too. And maybe really fully more so release an old communication pattern that wasn't serving you, that kind of was mm, like habit. And there's this sudden sense of, oh, I need to let this go so I can really step into what I want to be doing, and how I want to be viewing the world around me, as opposed to just kind of taking on other people's stuff. Tuesday, there's emotional harmony between what's going on with work, what's going on with your day-to-day routine, as well as career. There could be something you're doing. There's a lot of focus and illumination on your career. You're really kind of being seen right now or being recognized for what you're doing, for what you're building. But that could something about your day-to-day or like where you need to go or what you need to do, as well as maybe your physical health, like your energy levels could just maybe you're just working too much. And it's kind of directly challenging what's going on with your perspective. But that is kind of forcing you again to evolve how you communicate, how you view the world around you. And there might be something really massive that you need to take action on as it relates to that is building at the start of the week and kind of catalyzes middle of the week. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationships, other people in your life, and directly challenges what's going on with career. So again, maybe you need to be steadfast in your boundaries within career or your reputation, your image, something about that could feel really challenging on Wednesday, but it's also as we head into Thursday, there's this kind of support that comes from that. There's something you realize you need to do to take action on in order to evolve as it relates to these areas of your life. And there is a lot of support from people in your life on stepping into this new direction, more embodied with your values, your self-worth, what you want in with money and relationships. But also on Thursday, there could be some tug of war between relationships, career, and all these other external parts of your life, and needing to maybe nurture yourself. Like there's maybe this push and pull, and this big sense of, okay, I can't sacrifice myself in order to make this work. Friday, there's a breakthrough moment with career, with relationships. There could be some wound that's triggered in career or through your reputation in some way that kind of again gets you to look at things differently and gets you to kind of evolve um, or heal that trigger so it doesn't show up in the same way, continue to repeat itself. As we head into Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your shared resources, your area of vulnerability. So there's a big sense of emotional transformation with money, with debt, taxes, investments, or just like your inner sense of security and intimacy or vulnerability as well. Like there's this big emotional shift that takes place, and it could directly challenge what you're doing with community, career, social media that's more aligned with your values and self-worth. There could be something challenging around those two areas on Saturday. But again, it's all forcing you to, I don't like force, but like pushing you to evolve what you've been doing so that it's more aligned with how you want to go about doing what you're doing. And then it feels like as we end out the week, there's a sense of breakthroughs that come. There's a lot of forward momentum as well over the weekend and into next week around your career, and it just builds and builds and builds. There could be something you get maybe sudden clarity around with career and reputation, or feeling called to take a lot of action. It doesn't make any sense why you're being led to do that. So trust in that, trust your intuition, and moving forward in that area of your life, and all will be well. And that's your week ahead. Cancer. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your creative projects, passions, dating, and romance as well as it applies. There could be something about that that's directly challenging money and a need for you to release something that you have been doing with money that's not aligned with where you want to go or what you want to be doing with money. And there's a really big requirement for you to shift your perspective around it and trust where you're led, even if it doesn't make sense to your mind, or even if there's kind of triggers or wounds or fears to work through around it, they will be kind of triggered this week so that you evolve them, so that you heal them, and so that they don't keep like running rampant in your life and kind of stifling your light and stifling what you want to be doing and what you want to be moving towards. It's all about shifting your perspective, shifting your belief systems, and through that, really changing the way you communicate about these things. There could be something around that majorly that comes up Tuesday that is a big emotional release or feels really emotionally challenging. And there's kind of this moment of, do you want to keep playing out do you want to keep living the life you've been living, or do you want to really change it and live a better life, a more aligned life, that feels better for you and what you're doing? And there's a lot of opportunity for you to really have some breakthroughs around that shift and more clarity on how to go about it, especially as we get into Wednesday. The emotional focus shifts onto your day-to-day routines, your schedule, your work, what you do for work on a daily basis, as well as your physical health. So there could be something coming up around all of that for you that is emotionally supporting where you want to go with career, what you want to change about it, but it could directly, again, challenge your belief systems or challenge an old, outdated perspective of life or way you've been viewing this, so that you change it. Thursday is really kind of the come to Jesus moment around that. There's a lot of push and pull between your physical health and mental health, and an illumination of the subconscious and things that really have been holding you back from your true expression of your light. And again, it all comes down to how you're viewing these things, what you're believing to be true. And once you shift those, like the rest of your life will line up to match. Like there's a big recalibration happening in the way that you view life and the way that you operate through life from that perspective. So there's a lot of focus and momentum towards really making major changes to that as we end out the week. Especially Friday, there could be some big breakthroughs around work and career related to that. Maybe some kind of last hurrah of a big trigger or wound of your perspective coming up for you to really evaluate clearly. And again, that come to Jesus energy of like, do I really want to keep living this out? Do I really want to let this hold me back or not? Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationships. There could be some really big emotional transformation that occurs within relationships, other people in your life, how you relate to other people, or just who you have around you in general. But it could directly challenge emotionally what's going on with career. So Let that kind of show you what needs to again evolve and change about your life and needs kind of maybe further refinement or recalibration, so that you're not again repeating the patterns of the past. There is also big momentum now as we end out the week towards changing your perspective, really maybe incorporating a spiritual practice that helps you to stay grounded, helps you to stay centered in what you know to be true about yourself instead of like maybe what other people are saying or something like that. There's a lot of momentum on evolving, evolving and changing further in how do I say, in a way that's majorly further aligned with what you want to do instead of your comfort zone. And that's how we end out the week for you, Leah. So let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your home and family. There could be something emotionally about home and family that is directly challenging what's changing about you, and what's also changing about your relationships or where you're headed with relationships. But it also somehow supports this big subconscious shift or this big inner world shift that's been occurring for you as well. And maybe also supports a cleanup of financial things. There's kind of this sense of maybe feeling more intuitive, feeling more aligned with like the messages that you're getting. And I don't know, there's something there's something about intuition coming up with this as well. But it kind of is forcing you to evolve how you handle things of related to home, family, and relationships altogether. Even though there is this sense of big inner world healing and shifts, wounds clearing out, things just kind of maybe you don't even know what is clearing out or what is changing for you in a subconscious level and an inner world level, but there is a lot shifting. And though it might put tension or create challenges or conflict within people around you or relationships around you, it is like forcing you to evolve and supporting you in the evolution that's needed for you to step into this new chapter with more embodiment. And more harmony than maybe ever before. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your creative passions, projects, dating, romance, and it directly challenges what's changing or what you're stepping into that's maybe different or new with shared resources, with money, with debt, investments, and again, kind of your psychic abilities or intuitive gifts as well. The kind of inner psyche could feel really emotionally challenged on Wednesday. There could be this sense of, okay, I'm doing this, I'm creating this, but I don't feel like I can make money from it, or I don't feel like I have the energy to whatever, right? It's kind of like these things, these subtle kind of inner communications are coming up for you to shift them. It's a lot of perspective level change, a lot of belief system level change. And on Thursday, especially, there could be this sense of like a tug of war between where you're pulled externally and where you want to focus internally, or on your kind of creative passions or pursuits for yourself, and where you're pulled in your outer world. But again, it's kind of like seeing it differently and really seeing the divine in where you're led and what's coming up for you and where you're pulled, as opposed to feeling like you need to have it all planned out and figured out before you do. It's like, no, you kind of need to do and refine as you go. Especially that builds and becomes more of a focus on Thursday and into the weekend. And there could be some big breakthroughs around that on Friday, around your creativity, or your gifts, or what you're doing, what you're sharing, what you're putting out there. That's a true passion for you. And that kind of clicking in this new perspective and viewing it from a different place, as opposed to the old kind of wounded, self-critical, perfectionistic place that you maybe would have viewed it from the past, that has held you back in the past. It's like, okay, I don't want to operate from that anymore. So I'm shifting that at an identity level and really choosing to step into this new version of how I approach these things. Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your day-to-day routine, schedule, work, physical health. So there could be some big emotional breakthrough or transformation related to that area of your life that, again, has probably been building all week. And it might directly challenge, again, some belief systems, some perspective of life that you have had or held that wasn't super helpful, that wasn't embodied in these values that you're now living, and that this new version of yourself that's more embodied in your worth. So there's a big emotional shift that supports where you're headed as opposed to recreating the past from where you have been. There's a lot of sense as well as we end out the week on Sunday of emotional clarity, maybe clarity related to action and kind of getting more intuitive. You might be feeling more creative, more intuitive. Again, it kind of all culminates. It's culminating all week, and it all, as we end out the week, there's a sense of like, okay, here we go. Here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm going about it. And the emphasis is more so on taking action than it is on sitting in your head and trying to plan, which is really just a distraction from the taking of the action. So do what you're led to do, even if it doesn't make sense. There's a reason for that, and you'll understand it all in hindsight. So that's your week ahead, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. Love to hear from you on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I will see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your communication, your day to day, like where you're going, who you're talking to. There could be some like short distance trip that you take or somewhere that you go to run an errand that feels kind of really supportive in terms of meeting new people or putting yourself around different people or better relationships, and kind of feels really supportive for this these relationships that are being illuminated in your life right now, and having more of a focus on who you have around you that's intentional, that's supporting what has changed about you and identity level at an identity level with relationships and people in your life. There's a lot of support through that, but it could directly challenge something about work or about your health. Could feel like I don't know, you're overextended with social connections, and you have to kind of be careful of having energetic boundaries, or just knowing when you've had your limit and like need to kind of leave the social stuff behind and go back to your self-care or whatever it is. There's kind of there's a push and pull. There's a lot of harmony between what's going on with people and relationships, but also don't lose yourself in that. Don't neglect your own self-care and needs for that is a major message. Or like what you're doing for work and what's building there for you as well. There's a big push and pull between these two areas of your life, especially on Tuesday. There could be something that's healing about that, about relationships, that really kind of heals a wound for you, but also it heals you, but it's like something triggers you before that healing moment happens, maybe about work or health, or communication, or kind of, I don't know, maybe you have some altercation with someone that's a stranger, like somewhere you normally go all the time. And I don't know, there's something, something not so comfortable, something challenging about communication and your kind of day-to-day routine or schedule, maybe work even, that might not be super comfortable on Tuesday, but again, it does provide some much needed healing of a wound or a trigger that maybe you didn't realize was still there affecting you. As we get into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your home, in your area of family as well. So there could be things about home or family you're restructuring, you're just focused on kind of cleaning up or refining, that could challenge something that's happening with relationships. Or again, you could be pulled to focus on relationships, but it's like you have to also take care of your inner world or your home in some way. And so it's kind of like the energy of how do I balance all of this? But I do feel like there's something that comes up on Thursday that gives you a sense of how to balance or how to bring greater harmony to what's going on with home and career and relationships, and how to kind of better balance all of it. And maybe even getting clarity around some things with money as well, or shared resources, investments, taxes, debt, related to these shifts that you're making at an internal level because of what's coming up with relationships and what's coming up with work and career. It's like it kind of gives you more clarity on what to just reevaluate and what to make a subtle shift around. Friday, there's the energy of and into Saturday, a big emotional breakthrough with creativity, with career, with dating, that could come through some sort of trigger, that is, or wound that is brought up through somebody in your life. But there's something about that you need to take action on through that as well. Like there's conflict, but it really propels you into action in a major way, maybe with relationships or with people in your life and getting clarity on like, okay, I need to be intentional with this, or I need to go about this differently or this way. And there's this sense of transformation as it relates to that. And that could also propel you into a lot of creative inspiration towards what you're doing or what you're sharing in work or career that is maybe new for you, or maybe you're getting a sense of like how to evolve it. There's a good how do I say, a lot of momentum towards creative endeavors and taking action on those as we end out the week. And there could be a sense of, especially on Sunday, emotional breakthrough related to that, and maybe shared resources, vulnerability, maybe even like intuition as well. Like there might be something that happens, you're like, damn, I am really intuitive, and it kind of clicks in is like just this more embodied knowing of yourself and what you're truly capable of. Um, that maybe you didn't think was unique to you, but it actually is. So that's how we end out your week, Libra. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your money. There could be things about that you're really cleaning up. That is maybe supporting you to move into a new direction creatively or with what you're doing that is truly a passion for you, related to what you have been stepping into with work or creative passions or pursuits. There's a lot of harmony building towards this new direction, and taking action on it, and maybe launching something or putting something out into the world that's going to bring in more money for you at the start of the week. But there might be mindset things you really have to shift around it, and seeing your value, seeing your worthiness, really kind of integrating that and shifting maybe how you even talk about these things instead of coming at it from a self-sacrificing place or like the starving artist. It's like, no, you get to be paid and paid well for what you're doing and what you're putting out into the world. There could be further things that come up around that on Tuesday, emotionally, of like really shifting the way you talk about this, the way you talk about these things to other people, as well as the way you talk about it to yourself, and really lifting yourself up as opposed to tearing yourself down. And there's a lot of support around healing that wound at the start of the week. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your communication, into your day to day, who you're talking to, where you're going on a daily basis. That could directly challenge what's going on with work. Maybe you really have to set boundaries with coworkers or people you work with, or people who are reaching out to you about work stuff. And you kind of have to, yeah, it kind of, how do I say? Gives you an opportunity to step into a new form of communication or boundary setting with how you communicate yourself to other people, or how you share ideas and information in general. And with that, there's also a lot of support from relationships happening at the same time. So maybe you have someone to talk to about this that can help you and support you. And how to go about it. That's going to be helpful for you. But there's something big that clicks in with that on Thursday. It could feel like it's challenging a perspective that you have had, or a perspective that has been expanding for you, or belief systems that have been really feeling more aligned that you've been stepping into, that are really more supportive for where you're going and what you're doing and how you're going about doing it. And so there's this kind of sense of having emotional support through someone in your life to lean on at this time, as you kind of make sense of all of this and what's changing and how to go about it. Friday, there could be something really triggering that comes up around all of that. Again, kind of triggers this old version of yourself and how you used to handle work or how you used to handle health. or body image even like and it's kind of like, okay, I'm not that person anymore. So what am I going to do about this now? And again, maybe you have someone you can call on to support you through that change. But later on Friday and into Saturday, there is a sense of an emotional breakthrough that comes about within your home, your family, your inner world. And Saturday, that could really challenge what's going on with the relationships. Maybe certain people you have around you that just don't feel aligned anymore and they don't line up with your values or what you stepped into as it relates to your self-worth and what you know you're wanting when it comes to people around you or what you're worthy of having as when it comes to relationships. There's this kind of emotional tension there that forces you to see it differently and to evolve it in ways that are needed. And that's kind of how we end out the week. On Sunday, there could be some big breakthrough around that, around home and relationships, that supports where you're going as opposed to where you have been. There's also this sense over the weekend of something big you need to take action on, maybe from an instinctual place or like a very intuitively led place, with work or with health or anything related to that that you're stepping into this new chapter with. So that's how the week ahead is going to go for you, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all about how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on you. There could be at the start of the week this big sense of emotional renewal, of coming out of a fog and maybe seeing some things a lot more clearly than you had been before. That could directly challenge, though, something about home or something about family. You might have to really have a hard conversation with someone about home or family, or maybe heal some communication patterns within your inner world and really solidify those in a new way. There's a lot being illuminated as well, with dating, with romance, with creative passions or projects. And there's a lot of emotional support towards holding your boundaries with that, and a lot of illumination towards not repeating patterns of the past and really choosing to solidify in a new identity as it relates to these areas of your life. Especially Tuesday, there could be something really emotionally challenging between what's going on with home and family and you emotionally. And again, it's kind of like, do you want to keep repeating these patterns from childhood or from past relationships or whatever, or do you really want to heal how you approach this so that you change your experience with it in your everyday life and you have better examples of what you're worth and what is actually going to be more supportive for you, not only short term, but also long term and energetically. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your money. There could be something about dating or romance that is challenging your money. If kind of like if or your worth or your value. There's a lot of stuff coming up about your worth, your value this week for you that's maybe affecting your money in ways you don't really love. It's kind of this push and pull between dating, romance, and creative stuff and money, and there could be this sense of if you're repeating patterns from the past, it's going to negatively impact your how you view yourself, which could negatively impact your worth and your money. But if you're really, if your cutoff game is strong, this is the week to put it into action in order to up level your money and up level what you're doing for work that feels more embodied, that feels more supportive of your actual value and what you want in terms of money and for work, in exchange for what you do for people, your services, or whatever that it is that you're doing. There's big internal shifts taking place around all of this, and there might be some emotional challenges that bring that up and kind of test you of like, okay, are you really going to repeat these old things that you have really outgrown? Or are you going to fully step into this new identity that is more embodied, and where you're headed and where you're going? Big moment of that on Thursday. If I haven't already said that, there's something big coming up around that on Thursday and maybe early Friday. But later on Friday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of communication. There might be something really big Early Friday that you have a breakthrough around as it relates to work and money. And then it's kind of like, okay, how are you sharing this? How are you informing people? What are the ideas and information that you're sharing around this? What are you going to do in your day to day to kind of bring in this thing, this new idea, or take action on it? Is really the energy as we get later into Friday, and especially the weekend. There's a big sense of emotional breakthroughs as it relates to communication, how you're sharing ideas and information, what you're doing on a daily basis, where you're going, who you're talking to. There could be something though on Saturday that also challenges that in work. Maybe you kind of take a short distance trip and it directly challenges what's going on with work or what you're stepping into with work. Um, and further sense of like there's something really big to take action on with creative passions or dating and romance. Take it as it applies. Big illumination of wounds that are coming up around all of that and culminating all week, and especially as we get into next week, the need for you to really maybe again stand on business and cut off what you need to cut off there because it's not serving you. And there could be a big breakthrough around all of that that's really building, and maybe a catalyst moment that doesn't come until next week around it, but does feel like on Sunday there could be a breakthrough related to work, more so on what you want to do and how you want to share what you're doing there and stepping into a new direction with it and feeling more inspired and creative, if you have been feeling low energy. So that is your week ahead, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your subconscious, on your inner world, on kind of what's going on underneath the surface of things. There could be something really big about that that's triggered within your home, family, communication, belief systems. But it is supporting some major change with your inner world, with your home, with your family, that feels more supportive for you long term, although it is kind of challenging to look at these maybe belief systems or ways of communicating that haven't supported where you're going. There could be some emotional things, maybe emotional release, like maybe you need to maybe through anger, need to kind of have an emotional moment in order to work through these things that are coming up underneath the surface in a really major way. But I do feel like it's going to pave the way for breakthroughs and maybe creative inspiration as well. And that might not be something that comes through until later in the week. But Wednesday, there is this sense of kind of major inner world healing for you that occurs through this emotional release or this realization of kind of unfelt or unseen emotions that come to the surface, maybe through a conversation you have with someone, a sibling, or someone in your kind of day to day. As we get into Thursday, Wednesday, really, the emotional focus shifts into your area of you, and there's a sense of emotional renewal. But on Thursday, there could be something about that that is challenging what's going on within relationships, what's changing in relationships. There's a deer literally on my porch. I don't know if deer is a message for you or what have you, but there's some sense of like what's funny because I watch the deer almost every day in my yard, and they really know when to eat and they really know when to like, work to get food versus when to rest. So there's something about that coming up for you on Thursday of like, okay, I need to kind of not sacrifice myself for this person or for this thing that I'm doing or for work, or for home or for family. I really need to kind of come at it from a full cup and take care of myself before I go out and do that for others kind of energy. On Friday, there could be something about that that comes up that's really healing, but also triggering at first, with home or with family. There's this sense of major inner world healing, at an identity level, like really stepping out of this old version of you fully. And there might be something, again, that you have to kind of take action on as it relates to you, structuring how you take care of yourself and your emotional needs differently. And maybe instead of like putting your feelings into work, like creating time for you to actually feel your feelings, so that they don't keep showing up in unhelpful ways. Saturday, it feels like there's a big emotional transformation and shift that takes place within your value, your self-worth, your money, maybe possessions even. You could be getting rid of stuff or like again, having this kind of rebirth with how you view your self-worth and what you're doing and moving forward with as it relates to your inner world, home, or family. The emotional focus at the end of the week is really on your money, your possessions, your self-worth, your value. And it could challenge later on Saturday something about your creative pursuits or passions, or maybe dating or romance, and what's going on with that area of your life. But it also, um, it's like, again, the message of don't lose yourself. There could be a lot of things that are challenging with these two areas of your life, money and relation, or money and could be relationships, but could be like creative inspiration. But it's forcing you to kind of evolve your habits or routines within, again, your inner world, your home, your family, what you're willing to do versus what you're not willing to do in that area, so that you have time to focus on yourself and your own needs and passions. And there could be a big breakthrough that comes about from that and around that as we end out the week on Sunday and into Monday. There's also something really major you might be taking action on with home or family towards the end of the week, and building that momentum into next week. So that's your week ahead, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Aquarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your long-term goals, community, your vision, maybe social media. What is going on with your communication and with your like day-to-day stuff? Because it feels like there's a lot of momentum towards that that's building, especially at the start of the week. There's a lot of emotional harmony between community, social media, long-term goals and visions, and also what ideas you're sharing or information you're putting out into the world, or where you're going, who you're talking to. There could be a lot more social interaction that you're having because you're feeling maybe more inspired, maybe creatively with money, or what's going on with that you're realizing you want to step into. That's different than maybe what you have been doing, but there could be something on Tuesday that comes up around that is a little bit of a difficult conversation to have about money or about possessions, that maybe directly challenges what's going on with community or social media or long-term goals and visions, but it does support you in taking action on something around what you're doing, around what you're stepping into that's new or different. Um, Even though it challenges maybe this is beliefs around self-worth, or beliefs around money, or your value and what you're doing or what you're creating or what you're sharing. And it's coming up so that you really like evolve it and don't keep telling yourself a story that's negatively impacting you in your life and what you're doing. Wednesday, there could be a lot of positive healing that comes from that, maybe later on Tuesday, even. And then as we get more into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your subconscious, and it directly challenges what's going on with your communication, your belief systems, your ideas, how you're sharing information, how you're talking about things. There could be a lot that's brought up within your inner world for you to shift and for you to heal, and kind of get more clarity around like what's going on within your subconscious, or what's going on within like your inner world and your beliefs, so that you shift it so that it doesn't keep like negatively impacting you. I feel like I've already said that, but this is really the energy of your week, is how are you balancing like your mental health and your physical health and all these things that you're taking action on. Like, don't neglect your self care, don't neglect yourself or your self-care for these things, right? What structure, what system, what routine do you need in order to really just always make sure you are taking care of yourself through all of this? And as we head into Friday, there could be something kind of emotionally triggering that comes up around that. Maybe you share something and it's not well received, or there's kind of like identity level wounds of like feeling misunderstood or what have you around it or from it. And it's like, again, um, you have to just really be embodied in how you're talking to yourself that's more supportive, instead of letting other people define you, like you define you. So don't let these wounds or triggers like be how you view yourself, right? Like heal the wound, do the opposite of what it says. or whatever that saying is. Because there's a lot of momentum on your inner world and really clearing out some further baggage this week. And it's not always comfortable in the way that it comes up, but that paves the way for Saturday and this big emotional transformation of yourself, of your identity, of the way that you view yourself and present yourself to the world. There's kind of this emotional renewal that occurs from all of this inner stuff that's kind of coming up all week in various ways. It really paves the way for a whole kind of rebirth and emotional renewal of the self come the weekend. But later on Saturday, that could trigger something or challenge something about home or family. Um, but it also, like I said, is very much supporting where you're headed. And as we end out the week on Sunday, there's a big potential for emotional breakthroughs as it relates to what's going on with home or family, your inner world, and really more fully integrating it at an identity level. There's also a lot of momentum over the weekend and as we get into next week on sharing your ideas and information. Maybe that is of a spiritual or intuitive realm or concept as well. Like, what are it's really all about taking the action, even if it doesn't make sense to your mind, trusting your intuition, trusting your gut, your instincts, for what to do and how to do it. And that alone is healing. Like taking the action is where true healing occurs, right? And doing things differently than you would have. Um, is where like real true integration and embodiment of healing occurs. So that's a big focus for you as well as we end out the week, Aquarius. So that's your week ahead. Let me know how it resonates with you in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your career, on your reputation, your outward kind of persona. There's a lot of focus on that at the start of the week, and it could directly challenge what's going on with you, what new direction you're stepping into with you, your sense of self, your appearance. But it also is positively impacting your money in some way. Like there's something that you're emotionally led to do or take action on with career or reputation that is positively supporting where you're headed with money and worth and possessions, even though it might kind of challenge these old identity things that are still kind of a thing for you. And it's really revolving around your communication and talking to yourself differently and not taking on people's perceptions if they're negative. But there's so much momentum towards like career and money and just doing the thing at the start of the week, and not letting anything else kind of hold you back. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your long-term visions, social media, community. So there could be something about that you're restructuring or realizing you want to do differently. There could be something about that is challenging money or challenging your value, your worth, your possessions in some way. But again, it's happening so that you do some like cleanup work. I don't know why my nose is itching all of a sudden. So random. But it like I don't know. There's a lot of momentum on building this new structure and really as it relates to like, okay, what's your long-term goal? What's your long-term vision? And taking action towards that, putting your energy into that in a really productive and foundational way instead of giving weight to these like limiting beliefs or these doubts or these fears or whatever it is that's coming up for you at a subconscious level. It's like don't listen to it. Don't make it mean anything about you. And there could be something on Thursday that comes up, and Thursday and Friday that kind of triggers that in a deeper way as well. Maybe around your worth, maybe from community or from friendships or social media in some way too. And maybe you have to release somebody in your life that you thought was going to be somebody who was supporting this new direction, but actually they're not, kind of thing. Thursday, there's kind of this emotional push and pull between community and your long-term goals and what's going on with creative passions or dating a romance that's been expanding for you that you're getting more clarity around or feeling more creatively inspired with. It's kind of like don't let people pull you out of that. Really honor your creative flow. And again, like I said, Friday, there's really this kind of pivotal moment of maybe a wound being triggered with money or self-worth. But at the same time, there's a lot of momentum on money and there's a lot of momentum on your worth and moving into a new direction. And you might be feeling this kind of big renewal of your energy around it or around what you're doing for money or what you're stepping into with your values, your possessions. That's more in alignment with where you're headed and where you're going versus where you have been. As we head into Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your subconscious, and there's a lot of opportunity for emotional transformation and rebirth at an energetic level for you. That's really underneath the surface transformation. It's kind of like, I'm kind of getting this sense of like you have a wake up call kind of thing, and you're like, no more. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not operating that way anymore. I'm not going to listen to those limiting beliefs or whatever it is or these people. Like, I'm really going to do my own thing and step into it fully with no, like, I'm not going to turn around kind of thing. Does that make sense? So there's a big pivotal moment that happens for you as we get into the weekend and a lot of like sudden forward momentum towards what you're doing. Um, if there has maybe been some like slowdown of it or just reevaluation around it, it's like, okay, here we go. This is, I'm not letting anything hold me back from this anymore. Here's what I'm doing. Here's where I'm going, full steam ahead, kind of energy. And there could be things on Sunday that maybe trigger emotionally or late Saturday even, that maybe trigger communication or trigger like how you're sharing ideas and information at a subconscious level. But again, it's all kind of clearing out what needs to be cleared out around your inner communication, so that it doesn't keep affecting you. And yeah, could as we get into early next week really be some big breakthroughs around that and a big sense of renewal with everything that you're doing and creating. So that's your week ahead, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, next week, week of the 13th. Oh my God, I'm so excited. We have Mars moving away from Neptune. We have Mars moving close to Saturn. I just looked this up. The last time we had a Saturn Mars conjunction was 2 years ago in 2024. It was in Pisces because Saturn was in Pisces then. And I was trying to remember exactly what I was doing. That was like right before my 30th birthday. And I just remember it being a really good time. It was also though a lot of like, okay, I have to do something to get myself out of something else that's not healthy for me or that wasn't good for me. Like I was really fixated on someone in my life that I thought was going to be a really crucial person and really big part of my life, and they just weren't showing up. So I had to really like book myself a road trip and like get out of town to like distract myself, and it ended up being such an amazing trip. That's kind of the energy as we get into next week. It's like, what do you need to do? What do you need to take action on? And this is going to kind of build all week. Again, as I was saying at the beginning of this video, like these things are building. This doesn't happen overnight. The energy doesn't shift overnight. Mars moves a little bit more slowly than the other inner planets, than Mercury, than the sun. So this is going to be a kind of 2 week thing that really starts next week. And this is why I have been saying, even though the first week or so of April doesn't feel super like, blah, 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 like go, 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 go. As we get to the middle of April, it is all go, 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 like 100 miles an hour. Because of this Mars Saturn conjunction that we have in Aries for the first time that any of us have seen in at least 30 years. Um, so there's a lot of forward momentum. And what do you really need to just like do to get yourself out of maybe something that hasn't been healthy for you? Like I said, also at the beginning of this video, next week we have Cazimi with Chiron, which is a Sun Chiron conjunction. The Sun will be on Chiron at the same time that Mercury will be on Neptune. So this is a big wake up call around delusion, I feel like. This is a big, again, pivotal moment for all of us of like, we can't keep doing what we have been doing and the way that we have been doing it. Also, the moon will be in Aries. This is a fiery week, the 13th. Um, Very fiery. Also, we have Venus approaching Uranus. So a lot of just kind of sudden unexpected shifts and energetic changes. Um, And again, like I've been saying in all of my videos, super important to trust your intuition and your instincts and what you're led to do when you're led to do it, instead of forcing. We can't force anymore. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. We have to act when the energy is there. Trust that it will come when it's, when we're just not led to do it. Like trust in your present moment and that it's leading you to what you're meant to do when you're meant to do it at the time and the way that you're meant to do it, right? There's a divine orchestration to all that's happening. So trust in that. And yeah, this is really like further kind of illumination around identity wounds that we still haven't healed. That action is going to heal in us as we get into the middle of April, especially as we end out this week of the 13th. And excuse me, we really let's see here. Let's give y'all some dates. The 17th, 16th, 17th is really when this energy is big. And then the 19th, oh, the 18th and 19th could be some really, really big shifts. Um, but we'll save the rest for next week. So I'll see you then. Have a great week. Let me know how yours resonated, your horoscope resonated with you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.